This was kind of interesting. So you can see on the screen here, this was an article which is based on the OECD Better Life Index, and it basically is a ranking of different countries in the OECD by different sort of metrics. And there's a good link here actually for which shows how Japan comes out on this. And again, I'll tweet this out later on. So if you follow my Twitter, Hiko Simon, you can actually check this out yourself, and you can actually compare each country with a select country with Japan. But you can see how Japan ranks within the 38 OECD countries, like where it comes in basically for topics like housing, income, jobs, education, environment, civic engagement. And what I found from this was that so overall OECD ranked by all of these metrics that they count, the Better Life Index. Apparently the top was Australia at number 3, and Canada at number 5, America number 8, New Zealand came out 11, UK 16, and Japan 23. So why did Japan come out so low? And I was looking at that, and basically it was because of poor life satisfaction and poor civic engagement. But for jobs, education, and safety, as well as income, Japan actually came out really high. It still worked out pretty well, certainly compared to New Zealand. One thing that surprised me, Japan has one of the lowest rates of homes with flushing toilets in the OECD, 31st out of 38 countries, behind Mexico. So I guess this is because so much of Japan is still so isolated, like remotely, just because Japan is still so mountainous. You do still get the old septic trucks which do drive around. If you live out in the countryside, you'll probably see them every now and then that go out to remote houses which need to be connected. But really, something like the number was like only 96.7. Like there's something like 3% of toilets in Japan are still not flushing, which sounds strange to me, but apparently that's true. Japanese spend a pretty high proportion on rent, 22% of income, which is I didn't get the ranking of that, but yes, Australians spend less, although they earn, well, I think they earn less money. Well, actually, you know what? Australians earn more money than Japanese on average, but they spend less money on housing. But Japanese spend 22% of income. New Zealanders are the worst in the OECD. They spend 26% of on average of their income on housing. This turned out to be kind of wrong, but someone was pointing out that Japan has the second lowest homicide rate in the OECD, with the lowest being the UK at 0.02 people per million. Someone pointed out that was wrong. It's actually 1.12 later on, but still, that was pretty surprising that UK has a lower homicide rate than Japan, at least according to the OECD. Overall, I found that comparing New Zealand and Japan, that New Zealand has similar rankings to Japan for work-life balance, with comparable percentage of Kiwis working long work hours, and with similar time, Kiwis don't get so much time off for leisure and personal care. So basically, at least compared to New Zealand, it still looks like a pretty good equation for me to stay in Japan. The wages are better, the education safety is better, and all the downsides of Japan are actually like things that you think about: housing, long work hours, no time for yourself, no leisure time. And thinking about it, when I grew up in New Zealand, I'd spend all my leisure time, as I did just now, going to Australia, partly because I have family there. My mum is Australian, my relatives are all over there, but I never really spent that much time really doing vacations. When I was in New Zealand, I was working, I was a student. I'd work through my summer vacations, and when I wanted to take a break, I'd go over to Australia and laze around on the beach. But I never really did that in New Zealand. It's something I still feel like I've barely really done a proper New Zealand vacation before. So yeah, it's kind of funny that that came up, and it shows that Japan actually still ranks pretty evenly anyway. So